Hello, and in our last video, we created a new drawing file called My New Project. And in this lesson, we're going to talk about how to draw lines of specific lengths and directions, and some of the things tied up in that. To begin drawing a line, we're going to use the line command, and that icon is right here in our draw palette. So I'm going to choose that line command, and I want you to remember, as we're drawing a line or any object, you need to be responding to the dialog box that's floating around your cursor. In this case, the program is asking me to specify the first point. That is asking me where to start the line. And I can start that line any place I choose to click down with my left click, my left click button. And so I'm just going to float around in space here for the first time. And if you also notice, as I roll my cursor around, the numbers are changing. And those numbers are changing relative to our origin point down here at 0,0 in our absolute coordinate system. But I'm just going to click a spot in space right now, and for my start point. And then I start stretching out. And if you see, as I start to draw this out, it's establishing a line. And that line is established using what we call polar coordinates. So the origin of this line is at the place where I clicked. But if you take a look, not in the blue box, but the gray box, it's showing a count in degrees, starting at 0.0 degrees. And as I move counterclockwise around this, you can see the number of degrees rotating, and watch it snap in at 90. And I rotate it down, it's going to snap in again at 180, and so forth. That is because I have a button down here turned on. It's a little blue icon. It's a circle with a pie wedge cut out of it. And that is a restrict cursor. That means it's going to click into programmable angles. Right now, it's programmed into the 90, 180, 270. I can add to that as well, different primary angles. But right now, we're just going to stick with that it snaps to our primaries. And I can also turn that off, and so it's not snapping into anything. But it's best to have this one turned on in the work that we do. So I have this out here, and it's our polar coordinates are the degrees in a circle from 0 going around to 364 degrees to back to 0. To draw a line of a specific length, I can, anytime I have a blue box in my text interface, I can start typing data in there. Now, yes, I could roll this along until I get a line to an exact length. But let's say I want that line to be 40 feet. I can just type in 40 apostrophe for 40 feet and hit enter. And now I have a line of exactly 40 feet. And then if you look in line command, it continues drawing along until I hit a second enter, a hard enter, or an escape, and end the command. So here I can type 60 feet. And let's make it 60 feet 9 inches. So I can just type in 9, shift, quotation mark, right? 60 feet 9 inches, and enter. And there's a 60 foot 9 inch line up. And then I can make a rectangle here by just going what I call going around the block. That means I could type in a line here at 40 feet, again, coming back the other direction. And I would hit enter. And that gives me that. And there's another way to go about this. So I'm going to left click, and I get a menu, and I can, at that point, I can undo one step in the command. Another way that I can get that 45 foot line is doing something called an inference. An inference is when I hover over a location and then I move up and see the dotted green line. That is going to keep the end point of this line in plane with the point that I just inferred. Now, if I go way off, that turns off, but if I come back, it snaps to that inference. And as soon as I snap to my 90-degree angle, it's going to give me that 40-foot line. And I can just come down here, and this is called a snap to that endpoint. So I only had to do my data entry, my keyboard work on 2 different lines. And I still created this rectangle using lines what I call going around the block. And then I can, if I don't like that, I can always undo it and it goes away. I can redo, bring it back. I can erase the whole thing by choosing my erase command, and then choose different objects to erase them individually. Or I can do what's called a crossing, where I click down once with my left and then drag a window around it. And that chooses everything it touches. If I come this way and do a window, so I'm going to erase that. Come back and do a window. A window only chooses things completely inside of its frame. So that's only choosing the one line. Now it's going to only choose, well, because of the nature of a rectangle, the window has to choose everything or one line only. But I can choose, for instance, just one line, which makes me realize that we're coming to the end of this video, where I was going to talk about the other modify tool, the most basic modify tool, that is erasing. So I choose the eraser button, and once again, I read the dialog box and it just says select objects. Let's say I would like to erase the top line here. So I just left click to pick. And then here's the real efficiency, is I'm going to right click my mouse to enter. I could hit enter on my keyboard as a hard enter, and that would erase the line, or I can right click and that also would erase the line. The right click is the same as hitting enter on your keyboard in AutoCAD. I'm going to undo that, bring that back. In this case, I'm going to erase everything using a crossing. So I take my crossing and I drag that down. I see a lot of students will do this sort of thing. They're using this nonsensy thing here. Escape out of that. That is a way to capture things. So if I go erase, select objects, this allows me to sort of draw a hoop around things instead of dragging a rectangle. See how that crossing grabs that stuff? If I come back the other way with it, erase, select objects. If I come back this way, it's a window. Windows only take things that are completely inside their boundaries. So you can see where it's selected 2 of the lines, but has not selected the other 2 lines until I expand this window and come past that corner. Now it's selected everything. And then I can right click enter and it erases. So that's where we're going to leave this video off. Again, we talked about how to draw lines, how to specify line lengths, how to do inferences, and how to erase objects using our different select tools, crossing windows, and individual selections.